Welcome to today's Power Your Lunch Hour. My name is Vanessa Hansel. I am the Assistant Director at the North 65 Chamber of Commerce, and I am joined today by Melissa Bettendorf, who will be co-facilitating today's meeting with me. We are recording the presentation and the Q&A session of today's meeting, and it will be available for you to view at a later date on our website. We encourage everyone to introduce themselves in the chat, put any questions or comments that you may have, and we will also take questions at the end of the presentation today. And now, without any further hesitation, I'd like to introduce today's guest speaker, Isanti County Administrator Julia Lyons. Julia is here with us today to talk about the happiness advantage, and please join me in welcoming Julia.
Hi, thanks so much for having me today and enjoying your lunch, a little bit of your lunch hour while I talk a little bit about this initiative that the Isanti County Board has approved. It's called the Happiness Advantage. It's really the concept, and the orange frog is the way that this concept is kind of shared with others. So just kind of briefly why that the board is pursuing this. The board received money from American Recovery Plan Act dollars for COVID relief, federal funds. And those funds have specific IRS guidelines on what the county can use them for, but we are asked as a county to really identify the fallout of the pandemic for our specific community, and to propose something with these dollars to help with that problem. So I was happy to see that the guidelines did look at some of the mental health concerns that the pandemic has definitely aggravated. So that was the reason why the board has decided to use some of these federal dollars on this initiative. In 2019, Alina and Public Health conducted a community needs assessment, and social isolation was identified for the first time as a top concern among Isanti County residents. And of course, 2019 is pre-pandemic. So then the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and we all were told to go home, wear a mask, stay 6 feet away from each other. So you can imagine what the pandemic has done to aggravate that issue of social isolation. And that's a difficult problem to think about or address. And in fact, in 2019, the Public Health did spend some time thinking about how they could help with that issue. And so knowing that these dollars are available to the county for that kind of a need, I remembered reading The Happiness Advantage. Let's see, now my screen doesn't want to advance. Let's see. There we go. So Sean Aker is the author of a book called The Happiness Advantage. He's a Harvard researcher. He has a really great TED Talk. If you have 12 free minutes, you can see it on your screen there. It's called The Happy Secret to Better Work, where he really explains this concept in a very entertaining way. But he wrote this book called The Happiness Advantage, and his whole concept, he's done a lot of research on the concept of happiness. And what he found was that kind of the old-fashioned way of thinking, where you work hard, maybe get your degree, get to the level where you consider success, whatever that might look like, then you'll be happy. And really the opposite is true. And the more ways that we can find happiness in our everyday life, then those other things will follow. Success will follow that. So the goal really is to get ourselves into that positive mindset so that we can have a much more successful life. So he has put that concept, that research-based concept from the Happiness Advantage. He knows that not everybody is going to read, a book like this, and it's a great book. I would encourage it. But even beyond that, the research article. So the research articles that they put out at those institutions, they have an average of 7 or 8 people read them. So Sean wanted to find a way to reach kind of the masses with his findings. And so he wrote this book called The Orange Frog. And you can see it's just a thin little book, and there's some pictures. There's pictures in there. It's a really easy to read little parable. So he took his Happiness Advantage research findings and turned it into this orange frog parable. So that's why you maybe have heard already about this orange frog concept. And in the orange frog, you know, the characters aren't labeled things, but they are struggling from things like depression, even substance abuse is touched on a little bit. And it goes through those kind of tough to digest concepts and shows that as these little frogs find ways to become happier, a lot of those issues that they're being faced with become a lot less of a problem. So that's a way to kind of get this concept out to people. So that's sort of the happiness advantage and why. So I'm just calling today Transition Tuesday because it's Tuesday today and we're all here together. And this whole concept is really about bringing people back together, finding that social connection again. Because one thing that Sean found in his research and which is turned into the story is that when we are doing kind things for others, that's actually when we are the happiest and we get the most out of our day when we do nice things for others. And then as we do nice things for others, that lifts them up and they then are more likely to do nice things for others as well. So that's kind of the concept. And I should share too that even beyond the orange frog parable, there's this little book really for little kids, same concept, even simplified more. And then there's also a comic book. So this little book I read to my 8-year-old daughter. She totally gets it. She's done quite a few little orange frog missions with me, and she can go explain it to people and is happy to do so. And this comic book is more for kind of, you know, the 10, 12 year age. And so just, I think he really did a great job of finding a way to make this research into stories so that people can understand them. So what are some of the benefits of happiness that Sean found? 31% are more productive when they're happier, 40% more likely to receive a promotion, 6 times more engaged, 39% more likely to live to age 94, greater sales, fewer fatigue syndromes, and 3 times more creative. So this whole orange frog concept has been adopted. You can see all of these, you know, mostly corporations or different organizations here on your screen. All of these organizations have done an orange frog initiative, and that's kind of how it's been rolled out, where it's been one kind of organization. So when I first contacted the International Thought Leaders Network, who puts on these workshops and works closely with Sean Aker, they were intrigued by the idea because they haven't done something that crosses, you know, the organizational boundary. So I'm talking about a whole county. You know, we want to provide these workshops to anyone in the county who's interested, and that was kind of the goal. And Sean Aker is actually interested and excited about this because he wants to try to help us measure if this initiative does make measurable change in the well-being of our residents. So we're doing some work on how we can gauge that, and kind of aligns nicely. We're due for the next community needs assessment basically right now. So we can kind of align these two initiatives and look at the same channels that they've done in the past for measuring what our Isanti County residents are faced with, and kind of try to see if pushing out this initiative will help us with some of those problems. So it's an exciting concept. It's different than anything they've done before. And it's in the thing that's a little bit challenging is that, you know, I can't tell Alina, hey, can you have a staff meeting this day and we're going to talk about orange frog? Like, they have to buy into it and want to do that with us. So that's why this community partnership piece is just really critical. So there has been some success with this initiative across the country, and a couple, on your screen you see Jordan Voigt, who is the president of Genesis Medical in Iowa, and he rolled it out in their medical system when they were at a time where employee engagement was really, really low, and the client satisfaction or patient satisfaction ratings were not good. So he's a very young CEO, as you can kind of tell. So he talks about how he really put himself out there when he proposed this to their board at a time when they were struggling, and they're going, "What? You want us to spend money on, you know, orange frogs? Are you serious?" But he convinced his board to do that, and he's really seen a huge culture change within his organization. You can see there they estimate saving $2.5 million in nursing turnover costs within the first couple months, and more importantly than that, their patient satisfaction ratings have gone way up since he's rolled out this initiative. And then the other person on the screen and both of these two have come to some of our workshops and are helping us kind of think about how to kick off our initiative too. But Joel Pedersen's a superintendent at a school district in Iowa, and it was a school district where people were enrolling out. Nobody kind of wanted to be at the Cardinal Community Schools. They didn't have a good reputation. So Joel came in, and again, he sold this to his board, and as you know, schools don't typically have lots of money to spend on things, but convinced his board to invest in this. And he initially just started with the staff, where the staff went through the workshops and they started talking about this orange frog concept, which is be kind and care about each other and do nice things for each other. And as soon as the staff started doing that, you know, the kids naturally picked up on it too. And the kids kind of took on some of these things themselves. For example, the seniors one year, there's a video of them. They went to visit a teacher that really made an impact in their life, and they just filmed the student going back to visit their fourth grade teacher, or whatever grade they were in, and just share with that teacher face to face how important they were in their life, and recorded that. And as you can imagine, it's a pretty touching video. But it's cool to see how they didn't focus on the students, but the students picked up on it, and that's how this concept and they say happiness spreads. So when we're happier and we're more positive and we're doing kind things for others, that lifts up the other people, and they want to then do the same thing in turn for others. It's just really about reconnecting people, letting them know we care about them and we're interested in their well-being. So my point in including this slide is just to kind of share that this isn't completely novel. It's been done in other organizations, just not necessarily across different organizational lines. But yeah, these are some of the benefits that other organizations have seen, that there really is a return on an investment, and it's an economic development type of thing. But the main goal, of course, is to just help lift people up after a time during this pandemic when everybody's been struggling. I guess there we go. So what we did was after I contacted that organization and asked them if they thought this might work, they said, yeah, I think this might work. And like I said, they're excited about it, but they were so confident that they offered to put on a workshop at no cost to the county. And they said only if the board decides to roll this out will they expect to kind of be paid for the workshop. So this was the group that I put together June 10th and 11th, and I tried to include partners from other organizations to the extent that I could. It was kind of a short notice summer situation, but we got a great group of people together, and we had this 2-day workshop where we learned about the concept. At the workshop, they really teach you different techniques about how to train your brain to be more positive, so that when you're in an adverse situation, you can remember how to get yourself back to a positive mindset. And it's really teaching how to be more resilient. So this group came together. We had 2 days, and the results were overwhelmingly positive. So my goal was to ask this group to come back to the county board and say, we like this concept. We will be your partner in the community, and we will kind of go on this mission to you. Because if we didn't have community partners that wanted to go on this journey, then I wouldn't have ever brought it to the board, because I don't think it would work without the community partnership. So thankfully, people loved it, and the response was really great. And in the front center is a couple public health staff, and that was really important to me, because I wanted to know if they would agree or support from a public health standpoint whether this initiative could help with that social isolation issue, but other, mental well-being, mental illness kind of things. And they really did think this would help, especially reaching people before they get too far down the path where they might need kind of a clinical diagnosis situation. This would help maybe catch people before they get too far down that path. And when people do ask me about that, well, what about people that are clinically depressed or suffering from things like that? This isn't going to fix everyone, of course. It's not a perfect solution, but maybe if those people are reconnected to, they can get then connected to some medical help that they need, or whether it's substance abuse or whatever the issue that they're facing. The goal would be that this initiative can help reach them, lift them up enough to admit that they might need help, or get them to the place where they can get that help. So it is not clinical treatment. So that's one question that I get asked occasionally. So why should we care about this? Well, it's about really, for us, we're looking at that reduced stress, that connection. But organizations that have done this initiative do see a lot more engagement from staff. And of course, if you're more engaged, you're going to be more effective, whether you're in sales or whatever industry you're in. You know, if you show up to an organization and you're greeted with a smile and you're treated really well, you're going to be much more apt to continue to patronize that business. Obviously, you all are in the business or know about customer service. So being happier, being more in a place of stability, you're just naturally going to have better results with that. So right now we are, so the board just approved this a month or so ago. And so now that it's been approved, we're looking at how to roll this out. So we have the 2-day workshops, which we've already done a few pilot workshops. And now we have what we're calling the Happiness Coalition Charter. So that's some members from Alina, the school district, Cambridge Isanti Schools. Bram is also attending the workshop that's coming up this week. So we're hoping that they're excited and want to be involved too. But this coalition is coming together to spend some time working on how to roll this out. Like, how are we going to spread this out into the community in a way that makes sense and in a way that we can sustain. So we're doing that planning work right now. We're starting this week, and we have another date in November scheduled. So really looking into 2022 for the major rollout. So that's kind of the process that we're in right now. And I'm not gonna, there's a lot of words on these next few slides, but really we're trying to create a measurable, we wanna see results, right? Shift in well-being and perception, happiness related to living in Isanti County. So the message, we want the message to be that we care about our residents in Isanti County. We care about your happiness. We care about your well-being, and we're going to give you some tools to help you be in a good place and stay in a good place. There's also Happiness 360 there's some curriculum for school. So Cambridge Isanti Schools is really interested in partnering, and so we can provide them these materials through this initiative, where they have some ready-made and it's fun and it's easy curriculum. So obviously you can think of little kids, and these little frogs are a natural concept for little kids to get excited about, but there's already curriculum which has been developed in Iowa and some of these other places that have already done this. So that will be the schools avenue. There is the healthcare, avenue. As I said, so Alina is also really excited about this, and they're on board with us too and partnering with us. So they'll be working on how to roll that out with more of their staff. They already have a lot of staff that have been trained, so we'll keep working with them on that. There's the in-person training, and then after that, we'll look at planning a lot more community events. So it might be a lecture. Sean Aker himself has said he would love to come speak here. So hopefully that's in the cards and that'll happen. But before these community events get rolled out, our goal is really to try and get the word out there. So kind of like what we're doing today, but wanting people to hear about the Orange Frog and the Happiness Advantage, and maybe pique your curiosity enough that if you hear about a free workshop that's coming up in the future, you'll be interested enough to go and learn more and get some of this training that will help you train your brain to be in a more positive place. So as far as business owners, we've already had a couple businesses that have said, I'm already buying orange for my next promotional materials, and that is so cool. And that's just kind of like how this spreads. I certainly didn't ask anyone to do that, but we want the color orange to be associated with happiness, so that when we see orange out in our county, that brings us a smile or reminds us, hey, I should say hi to that person. I should reconnect and thank someone, or that kind of thing. So it's already starting to spread a little bit, but there'll be lots of opportunities for business partnerships. And like I said, we're kind of in the planning stages, but just excited for those partnerships to happen. for now, if you are interested or you have people that are interested in attending a workshop, there's one this Thursday, so that's really short notice, but November 17th, we still have plenty of spaces open. That's a one-day workshop, totally open to anyone in Isanti County. So if you're interested in going, just send me an email and I will get you on the list, and I'll get you an Orange Frog book to read before the workshop. And then, like I said, we're doing lots of planning. We're thinking about doing a hot cocoa bar, at the bus garage. I know our bus drivers are struggling. So that kind of thing, where we're just going out there into the community and bringing joy to those that need it. So there's lots of planning to do and lots of exciting events to come. So wow, I talked really fast. So I kept in that 20-minute box, but I really want to open it up for questions. And so please, if someone has a question, I would be happy to answer. And if there aren't questions, I can certainly keep filling in the space. But some other things that we're doing, we put together little backpacks with these kids' books in them, and there's like some orange bracelets and some fun little things for kids. So giving those to our Health and Human Services staff to bring out as they do home visiting to families, and just talking about it a little bit. So it's kind of just another tool that they have in their tool bag to help reach those that might be struggling and help them find some light in their life. So that's one thing. I don't know, I saw you pop up, Vanessa. I don't know if there was a question.
Someone just asked if you could put your contact information in the chat.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, Melissa, it looks like Melissa put that in the chat.
Oh, thank you, Melissa.
And then someone asked, do you have to attend from 8 to 4 on the sessions, on the workshops?
So it's beneficial if you can make it the whole day. We will be looking for some other events, because I know the 2-day workshops especially were really hard to try and get people to commit 2 days to, but that is where you get the most takeaway. But we will be looking at some other, maybe like lunch and learn type opportunities out into the future for people that, because even our staff, we have to staff a jail 24/7. They kind of look at me like I'm crazy when I ask them to take a whole day out for a workshop. That's just not possible. So we do know that we have to find ways to get this out to people in smaller fashion. So I mean, if you're able to attend a full day workshop, you will definitely not regret it. It's a great opportunity. You'll get some new habits that will help you. Honestly, I thought going into this, I'm a pretty happy, positive person, and I was in a really good place to begin with. And I've picked up some things that I know have made a difference in my own life and my family's life. And I'm just able to just keep a much more positive outlook, even though I thought I already was there. So I would say if you can make the time, I think you're worth it, and you will get a lot out of it. But yes, I do also understand that people are super busy. So we'll be planning some opportunities for some kind of evening and weekend stuff. So working people obviously can go, and families can go, and that kind of thing. So we have a lot of planning to do, but there will be more opportunities.
Does anyone have any other questions? I see here on your last slide, Julia, that it says a hot cocoa bar joy bomb. Can you tell us a little bit about what a joy bomb is?
Yeah, so in the 2-day workshops, the 1-day workshops, there isn't time for this, but when we did the 2-day workshops, on the second day, we were given, a lot of orange kind of stuff and told, go out into the community and just drop a joy bomb. So go visit someone and bring them joy, basically. So my group went to Cambridge Primary School and Cambridge Intermediate School, right kind of next to the library there. And we just stopped into the principal's office and gave them some cheerful stuff and said, hey, we just want to come and talk to you about this a little bit. But more importantly, we want to let you know that we recognize you've had such a tough year with COVID, and you do so much good things for our kids, and you don't get nearly the recognition you deserve. So we see you, we appreciate you, and then we give them a little calendar or whatever kind of thing we have, and so all the groups are sent out to do that. And some went to the DMV, which was really funny because they said, you have to have an appointment. And that group said, we do have an appointment for happiness. And and they let them in, and they did cheer up the staff at the DMV. So that was pretty darn cool. But another group went to Grace Point Crossing and was able to visit one of the residents there who hasn't had visitors in a very long time, of course. And, some of these things just bring tears to your eyes. It's such simple stuff. It's just really giving the space and the time to go talk to people and reconnect with people and lift them up. And so that's kind of what a joy bomb is just you go somewhere with the purpose of bringing some joy to whoever it is you're visiting. So we're looking at doing that at the bus garage sometime in November, and just having some hot cocoa and some other things available. But just really the goal is to just tell them thank you, look them in the eyes and appreciate them, and just talk to them for a little bit. So that's the joy bomb concept.
Thank you. So that's something that people could do within their business or out in the community.
Yes. So I didn't talk about Flint, Michigan, but Flint, Michigan, after they had the lead in the water crisis, did an initiative with the Orange Frog, and really saw some benefits there too. And they started what they call the Day of Giving. So I don't want to call it that and totally copy them, but the idea is to pick a day and get people involved in teams with planning little, so they did everything from bringing, crossing guards hot cocoa to, they took a group of students to a water park. So it's just a wide variety of things, but they started their first year. Their goal was, I think, 1,800 random acts of kindness in that February, and they met that goal. And now they're up to 75,000 random acts of kindness when they do this day, because it's just grown and grown and grown every year. And that's something that businesses donate to, is for their Day of Giving. And they schedule these little planning teams to plan 1 or 2 initiatives on that day. And they start at 4 in the morning and they end at 10 at night. But that's something that they've done, which I think is super cool. And I could picture our community really rallying behind. So that might be something that we start planning, that if people are interested in, they could get involved in that and come out on that day and do some kind things for others. But yeah, I think it was a dental clinic maybe had asked me about these kids books and thought it might be cool to have them in their waiting room. So I do have a lot of this material already. So if that kind of thing is interesting to people, I'm happy to share whatever I have. And then it is always nice, though, if you have someone on staff who is familiar with the concept, maybe read the books, or ideally went to a workshop, so that they're able to talk to people if they have questions about it, like what is this Orange Frog, and why is this here, and why are you doing this? To just have kind of the general concept, which again is pretty simple. I mean, that's also what I love about it. It's just, I think sometimes in our lives we get busy and we forget to just pay attention to our neighbors and the people that we see, out there on the street, and just that human connection, especially during the pandemic, has really been lost. So, you may have noticed people are struggling, and there's some anger out there. Division, political divisiveness. So maybe something like this, these silly Orange Frogs can bring us back together a little bit in Isanti County, and just get back to that community that we are at the root. So.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for being here today and sharing this information with us. If there's no additional questions, we will wrap up the recording for today, but we will stay on for a few minutes if anyone wants to stay on, has any questions. You'll find information about the Power Your Lunch Hour and other chamber programs at north65chamber.com. And we'd like to thank all of you for joining us today. Julia's contact information is in the chat if any of you would like to reach out to her. And we'd like to thank all of you for participating, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.